On July 20, 2025, the world was stunned by the news that Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the actor beloved for his role as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, had passed away in a drowning accident in Costa Rica. The shock of his death was immense, but it was followed by an even greater revelation. After his funeral, a private archive that Warner had meticulously kept for many years was opened. Inside, people found more than just memorabilia from his career. They found never-before-seen family photos, deeply personal handwritten letters, and clues to a life lived entirely differently from the one under the public's constant gaze. This archive offered a profound and intimate look at a man who was, in many ways, an enigma to his fans. The journey of Malcolm-Jamal Warner began in Jersey City, New Jersey. He was born on August 18, 1970, a period marked by social and cultural change in the United States. His name itself held deep meaning: Malcolm for the civil rights activist Malcolm X and Jamal for the legendary jazz pianist Ahmad Jamal. From the moment he was born, his mother, Pamela Warner, had high hopes for him. She saw a boy who was both strong and sensitive, artistic and committed. Warner grew up in a modest home, his parents having divorced early, and his mother became his unwavering support system and his first manager. Pamela noticed his passion for the arts when he was just 7 or 8 years old, often finding him in front of a mirror, imitating characters and memorizing lines from television shows. She enrolled him in acting classes and later in the Professional Children's School in New York, a renowned institution for young performers. By 1979, at the age of 9, Warner had started to land small roles in TV commercials and children's theater, quickly mastering the skills of facing a camera, controlling his gaze, and using his voice abilities that would soon define his career. The turning point that would forever change his life came in 1984. NBC was casting for a new family sitcom called The Cosby Show. Over 200 teenagers auditioned for the role of Theodore "Theo" Huxtable, the kind-hearted and sometimes awkward eldest son. Malcolm, just 13 at the time, beat them all. This role not only launched his career, but also made him an iconic image of African American youth on American television. From its very first season, The Cosby Show became a cultural phenomenon, consistently topping the Nielsen ratings for years. As Theo, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was quickly nicknamed America's eldest son. At the young age of 16 in 1986, he received an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series, a rare honor for a teenage actor. But this early success also came with immense pressure. Malcolm had to balance his high school education with a demanding filming schedule of 39 weeks a year. Despite this, he never lost his love for music. He learned to play the bass and was drawn to jazz, funk, and R&B. Friends recall that in his free time, he would visit New York jazz clubs to learn from veteran musicians. His teenage years were a unique blend of a normal life in New Jersey and the dazzling world of Hollywood. His mother's constant reminder, "Don't let the spotlight blind you. Remember who you are and where you come from," helped him navigate the pitfalls that many child stars of his era fell victim to. The newly opened archive contained personal keepsakes from these early years, including a photo of him with his bass guitar, a ticket stub from an Ahmad Jamal concert in 1982, and a note his mother had written before his life-changing audition in 1984. "No matter the outcome, you've already made me proud." These early years were not just the foundation for his 4-decade career. They also explain the profound emotions his archive stirred in people around the world. Beginning with his breakout role in 1984, Malcolm-Jamal Warner entered a career stage that few teenage actors ever get to experience. The Cosby Show aired from September 20, 1984 to April 30, 1992, spanning 8 seasons with 197 episodes, consistently ranking at the top of the Nielsen ratings. Warner literally grew up before the public's eyes, transforming from the boy in colorful sweaters to a college student in the show's final episodes. For him, spending 8 years with a single character was a double-edged sword. While the role of Theo Huxtable brought him fame, steady income, and an Emmy nomination. He was also keenly aware that without careful planning, he could be boxed in forever as the Huxtable family's eldest son. This awareness drove him to explore other opportunities even while on The Cosby Show. He directed several episodes and sought out projects beyond the sitcom format. When the show ended in 1992, he didn't rest on his laurels. Instead, he immediately began to shape a new image for himself. In 1996, he returned to television with the UPN sitcom Malcolm and Eddie, co-starring with Eddie Griffin. The show ran for 4 seasons, from 1996 to 2000, and proved Warner's natural comedic talent and strong on-screen chemistry. During this time, he also directed many episodes, showcasing his skill in comedic timing and storytelling. But he didn't limit himself to comedy. The 2000s marked a shift toward more dramatic roles in series like Jeremiah 2002-2004, Read Between the Lines 2011, and Major Crimes 2015. Each role was a deliberate step away from the shadow of Theo Huxtable, allowing him to expand his acting depth. Music, his lifelong passion, became a parallel career. He played bass for his band Miles Long, released jazz and spoken word albums, and performed at numerous events. In 2015, he won a Grammy Award for Best Traditional R&B Performance for his collaboration with Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway on Jesus Children, confirming he was not just an actor, but a respected musician in the industry. His television career continued to flourish into the 2010s and 2020s. Beginning in 2018, he impressed audiences as the talented, blunt, and sometimes prickly Dr. A.J. Austin in Fox's medical drama The Resident. This role was a far cry from Theo Huxtable, successfully redefining him for a new generation of viewers. In addition to acting and music, Warner was a producer, director, and even launched his own podcast, Not All Hood, in 2024. It became a platform for him to share his honest, thoughtful perspectives on culture, society, and art. The last episode, posted on Instagram on July 18, 2025, just 2 days before his death, became a memorial wall for fans around the world. Over his more than 40 years in the business, Warner proved he was no mere former child star but a multi-talented and enduring artist. He acted in over 30 films and television series, directed numerous episodes of popular sitcoms, released music albums, won a Grammy, and left his mark in multiple creative fields. Looking back, it's clear that from America's eldest son, in 1984, Malcolm-Jamal Warner grew into a well-rounded artist who knew how to preserve his integrity, reinvent himself, and respect his audience. The Secret Archive, with its old film contracts behind the scenes photos from Malcolm and Eddie, and his 2015 Grammy ticket, vividly portrayed a career that was both dazzling and challenging, the culmination of over 4 decades of hard work. Alongside his acting memorabilia, the archive also provided clear evidence of the financial success Warner had built over his career. According to multiple estimates, his net worth in 2025 was around $6 million. This was an impressive figure for an actor who began his career as a teenager and maintained it steadily for decades. Most of this wealth came from his earnings in films and television series. At the height of The Cosby Show's popularity, Warner's per-episode salary is believed to have increased season by season, providing a stable income and a foundation for him to invest in personal projects. After the show, he continued to secure high-value contracts for Malcolm and Eddie, Read Between the Lines, and The Resident. Beyond acting, he earned royalties when these shows were rebroadcast or distributed through streaming platforms. His music career also contributed to his wealth through album sales and performances with his band, Miles Long, as well as collaborations with major artists like Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway. Winning a Grammy in 2015 not only boosted his reputation, but also increased the value of his performance contracts. The archive contained a collection of yellowed, signed contracts, payment statements from studios, and property ownership certificates, including a home in Los Angeles and a small apartment on the East Coast. Industry sources mentioned his investments in independent film production and several community arts projects, reflecting his desire to leave a legacy beyond acting. What was most striking was that despite his solid financial means, Warner lived a discreet life and never flaunted his wealth. There were no fleets of supercars or lavish mansions splashed across magazines. He chose a modest lifestyle, focusing on his family and work. When the archive revealed his financial documents, many were struck by his prudence and discipline in money management, a rare quality for a star who found fame so early. It was among these financial papers that people began to uncover another part of his story, one that he had intentionally kept from the public. A secret wife and child, a deeply private personal life, and the intense pressures he faced in the entertainment industry. When these pieces were put together, they painted a completely different picture of the man behind the public image. The secrets he kept hidden were a testament to the boundary he created between his stage persona and his private world. Throughout his life, Malcolm-Jamal Warner showed the public only what was necessary to sustain his career, which spanned over 40 years. He kept the rest, his family, his feelings, and even moments of exhaustion, in a place that few were ever allowed to enter. These weren't shocking, scandalous secrets, but a set of values he steadfastly upheld: protecting his loved ones, preserving his peace, and never letting the spotlight distort his real life. At the heart of this secrecy was a hidden marriage. In 2015, he met a lawyer from Connecticut through a mutual friend. Their relationship began as a friendship and deepened over time. In a rare moment of candor on his podcast, he once shared, "I laid it all out, told her everything. Then one day I asked, 'What do you think about getting married?'" For him, that moment was the answer to every doubt. He had found the right person. Around 2016 or 2017, they quietly tied the knot. There was no press release, no magazine wedding photos, and not a single social media post. For Warner, this wasn't a game of hide and seek with the media, but a sacred right to allow his family to live ordinary lives. In 2017, their only daughter was born. On July 2 of that year, he posted a simple black and white photo of himself holding his newborn, with the caption, "Peaceful time with family takes on a whole new meaning now." It was one of the few times the public got a glimpse into his private world, a moment that was both simple and profound. After that, he spoke of his family sparingly, offering only casual lines about a weekend at home or a warm dinner, but never a name or a face. For a person who had lived under the camera's gaze since he was 13, this intentional disappearing act was his way of protecting what mattered most. Before his marriage, Warner had public romances that were both beautiful and intense. His first famous love was with Michelle Thomas, his co-star who played Justine Phillips on The Cosby Show. They dated from 1988 into the early 1990s and remained close friends. When Michelle died of stomach cancer in 1998, Warner was by her side until the very end. Years later, in 2015, he wrote on Instagram, "If there was ever an angel who walked amongst us mere mortals, this woman was it." These words reflected his deep respect for past relationships. He then had a 7-year relationship with Karen Melina White, another Cosby Show co-star, from 2000 to 2007. Marriage rumors were constant, but Karen denied them, describing their relationship as long and solid, without the need for paperwork or fanfare. His final relationship before marrying was with Oscar-winning actress Regina King. They had known each other since the 1980s, but only began dating in 2011. They lived together for a time, becoming one of Hollywood's most admired couples. However, they suddenly split on Valentine's Day in 2013. Regina later revealed she was completely blindsided, throwing away the flowers he sent with the note, "I still love you." Warner remained silent, offering no explanations or public sparring. That silence, viewed today, seems part of a consistent pattern, ending relationships with respect and never turning old love into tabloid fodder. Alongside his love life, Warner faced professional pressures that few could imagine. He once admitted that there was a period when he hated playing Theo, not because of the scripts but out of fear of being typecast forever. The Cosby Show had made him America's Big Brother, but it also cast a large shadow over his career. He chose to break free through his actions, not his words, directing episodes of The Cosby Show, starring in Malcolm and Eddie, and later taking on dramatic roles in Read Between the Lines, Major Crimes, and as Dr. A.J. Austin in The Resident. Another shock came from outside when the Bill Cosby scandal erupted. The Huxtable family image collapsed in the public eye, and while Warner was not involved, he was deeply affected as part of that legacy. He expressed that it was heartbreaking to see something once so pure in people's hearts become tarnished. He did not loudly explain or defend, instead focusing on his work and letting his roles and music speak for him. Music, his lifelong passion, became an outlet. He played bass, formed the band Miles Long, released albums, and performed widely. In 2015, he, Robert Glasper, and Lala Hathaway won a Grammy for Jesus Children, a milestone that confirmed he was a true artist recognized by his peers, not just a former child star who could sing. To endure these pressures, Warner built his own defense system. First, he controlled public information. He gave interviews about his craft and projects, but sidestepped deep questions about his family. When compelled to mention his wife and daughter, he used only general terms, focusing on values rather than details. Second, he regulated his life's rhythm, often arranging his schedule during The Resident's production so that weekends were fully for his family, avoiding unnecessary public events. Third, he took ownership of his narrative. In 2024, he launched the podcast Not All Hood, where he spoke on culture, society, and art in his own way, free from the sensational lens of the media. On July 18, 2025, he posted a new podcast episode on Instagram. Just 2 days later, tragedy struck. Malcolm-Jamal Warner died in a drowning accident at Playa Coquelles Beach, Costa Rica, at the age of 54. He had been on vacation with his family. His daughter was rescued in time, but Warner was swept away by a rip current. Death came swiftly and unexpectedly, leaving a deep void in the hearts of his fans. When that curtain of privacy finally fell for good, the public realized that the secrets he kept were not to provoke curiosity, but to protect what mattered most: the right for his family to live in peace, the right for past loves to be respected, and the right for himself to breathe in an industry obsessed with scrutiny. And that's why when the secret archive was opened, the unseen family photos, the handwritten letters to his wife, and the personal reminders reading, "Protect what matters most. Don't let the spotlight blind you," left everyone speechless. They were not just artifacts but proof of how Malcolm-Jamal Warner lived, loving deeply but choosing to live quietly. The news of Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death swept through entertainment newsrooms and left all of Hollywood silent. According to the official report from Costa Rica's National Police, Warner was vacationing with his wife and daughter in the country's Caribbean region. That morning, the family visited Playa Coquelles, a beach known for its beauty but also for its dangerous rip currents. The weather was perfect, with clear skies and gentle waves, making people assume it was safe. Witnesses recalled that Warner entered the water with his daughter, and while they were playing close to shore, both were suddenly pulled out by a strong rip current. Locals and lifeguards responded quickly. His daughter was brought to safety, but Warner was carried farther out. By the time he was found and brought back to shore, his heart had stopped. Medical personnel tried to resuscitate him on the spot and on the way to the hospital, but it was too late. The coroner's report confirmed the cause of death as drowning due to asphyxiation, with no signs of injury or anything unusual. A family source said Warner's passing was swift and painless, a small comfort amid the overwhelming shock. Despite the clear information from Costa Rican authorities, Warner's death left behind lingering questions. Some fans wondered how he, a former athlete who kept in good shape, could fail to escape the current. Others noted that just 2 days earlier, he had been full of energy, even planning the next season of his podcast. Speculation began to spread on social media. Some suggested he might have had an undiagnosed health issue that caused him to lose strength faster in the water. Others latched onto the detail of the secret archive being opened, spinning elaborate theories that Warner was guarding something too big and that his death wasn't entirely an accident. His family and close friends firmly rejected all conspiracy theories. His mother, Pamela Warner, issued a brief statement calling the rumors baseless and hurtful, stressing, "My son passed away in an unexpected accident. There is no mystery beyond the grief of those left behind." Still, the combination of a sudden death, the immediate opening of a secret archive, and a life lived largely in privacy turned the story of Warner's final hours into something haunting. It wasn't a mystery in the criminal sense, but an emotional one. How could a man so full of life, preparing for new projects, simply vanish in a few short minutes beneath the waves? A private funeral was held in the U.S. a week later, attended only by family and close friends, with no media or photographs. Every tribute spoke of Warner's warmth, devotion to family, and professional perseverance. Hundreds of thousands of messages and memorial posts poured in online, turning his social media page into a wall of memories where fans left their final goodbyes. And then, when it seemed everything had come to a close, details from inside the archive, from handwritten letters and never-before-seen family photos to deeply personal notes, were revealed, sparking a fresh wave of conspiracy theories, which led to the next chapter in the story, the rumored surrounding the mystery he left behind. In the days following the news of Malcolm-Jamal Warner's passing, social media and fan forums lit up with speculation. Initially, the conversation centered on grief and loss, but within days, it veered in another direction, fueled by reports that a secret archive had been opened immediately after the funeral. On YouTube videos, Reddit threads, and pop culture podcasts, people began to spin a wide range of theories. One group believed the archive contained sensitive material about the behind-the-scenes world of The Cosby Show, particularly from the period before and after Bill Cosby's scandal broke. They pointed to Warner's past admission that he felt heartbroken watching the Huxtable family image collapse, and speculated that he might have held stories never made public. Another theory focused on his private life. Because Warner had a secret marriage and never revealed the identity of his wife or child, some imagined the archive contained photographs, letters, or information that could change how the public saw him. A few tabloid-style entertainment outlets even published blurry images or leaked documents allegedly from the archive, but none could be traced to a credible source. More sensational theories suggested Warner had been preparing to release a documentary or memoir exposing the darker side of the entertainment industry, and that his death was too coincidental to ignore. This idea was fueled by the fact that he had launched the podcast Not All Hood in 2024, and had in recent episodes hinted at untold stories he planned to share. However, these theories faced two major roadblocks. First, the Costa Rican coroner's report concluded his death was purely accidental drowning with no evidence of foul play or intoxicants. Second, Warner's family, especially his mother, repeatedly denied any speculation, stating firmly that there was no hidden truth about the cause of his death. Investigative journalists also weighed in. Reputable outlets such as People, App News, and Variety all confirmed that the archive was simply a collection of personal mementos. Family photos, handwritten letters, film contracts, music composition notes, and a few keepsakes from his most famous roles. No explosive documents or mysterious evidence were ever verified. But in an era where rumors travel faster than facts, corrections rarely have the same grip as speculation. For many, especially those who grew up watching The Cosby Show, Warner was more than an actor. He was a piece of their youth. And when someone so deeply woven into the fabric of their memories dies suddenly, it's easy to cling to conspiracy theories as a way of delaying the acceptance of loss. In the end, perhaps the greatest mystery Malcolm-Jamal Warner left behind was not in the archive or in any untold story, but in the way he lived, discreetly, independently, and always protecting what mattered most to him. He left this world as he had lived in it, quietly, without spectacle, leaving behind an artistic legacy and a set of questions that perhaps never needed answers at all. Malcolm-Jamal Warner may be gone, but what he left behind is more than the role of Theo Huxtable, more than the music or the awards. It's a life message: love deeply, live kindly, and protect what matters most at all costs. His life, from the dazzling lights to the quiet moments behind them, stands as proof that sometimes the most valuable things aren't what we put on display, but what we choose to keep safe.